It's Black History Month, so we're about to be seeing a whole bunch of videos of MLK and people just talking about he had a dream. Did you know integration really wasn't about integrating with us and living peacefully amongst black people and being kumbaya and Martin Luther King's dream? They didn't integrate because they started agreeing with MLK or they really liked black people. They only integrated for one thing. They wanted access to our wealth. They wanted access to our ideas. The thing no one wants to talk about, or they really never show during Black History Month, is black people been rich. We've been rich before slavery ended in 1865. They always make it seem as if black people were struggling or we never got on our feet, when there were plenty of millionaires in the 1700s, all through the 1800s, of rich black towns and rich black communities. Black people were millionaires and well established while they were still on boats coming over here trying to figure it out. Rich black communities didn't just start popping up in the 21st century. Black people being rich is not a new concept. In the 1700s, it was guys like Paul Cuffey who had shipping empires. There's guys like James Fortin who had boat empires that were building boats. There were black businessmen who had grocery stores, barbershops, restaurants. Who do you think these guys were selling to? White people weren't supporting us. Black people had their own economies already. Going into the 1800s, there's guys like Frank McWhorter who bought his own freedom. There's plenty of stories of guys buying their own freedom and buying their entire family's freedom, then going off to find whole towns that were black thriving towns. It's so much history that you never hear about. McWhorter, for instance, founded New Philadelphia. That was a whole black town, thriving black town. And these weren't just small bad towns. Like, they weren't just trying to survive. They were actually thriving towns. Look up Weeksville, New York. That was founded in 1830, full of black doctors, professors, business owners, scientists. In the 1830s, they wore top hats and suits. In North Carolina, they had a town of Princeville that was founded by freed blacks. And if you just look at the list of black millionaires, it's endless. And this is just 1800s millionaires. We got Robert Church, James Fortin, William Leedsdorf. And these are just the people that they let us know about that history documents. If there was this many millionaires, they had to be millionaires off other networks. If we keep going down the timeline into the late 1800s, into the 1900s, we all know about Black Wall Street with their own banks and hospitals and airports. You think these people were flying into other races' white towns, or they were flying to other black towns that had infrastructure to support their wealth and their spending and their luxury lifestyle? They weren't just flying to these country ghetto towns when they were opulent people. They were flying into other towns that was nice and built for them and their luxury lifestyles. We aren't ghetto people. We are people of abundance. We've never been ghetto poor people. That's a new image sold to us. We've always been opulent. Tulsa wasn't alone. They had Brownsville in Chicago. They had Atlanta. It was an area called Sweet Auburn that everyone went to. We had Ashley Street in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm talking about entire business districts in the late 1800s and in the early 1900s that was just black businesses thriving, opulence, schools that were teaching our own curriculums, nice schools at that. We can't forget about Madam C.J. Walker. All her investors were black doctors and black bankers and black scientists. White people weren't investing in hair care. She was supposedly the black first lady millionaire. Where do you think she got her money from, her startup money from? She was on her Shark Tank stuff before they even had that concept. We were already here doing the money thing and circulating our dollars. Not only were there just black millionaires, there were lots of black mayors, black governors. Louisiana had a black governor by the name P.B. Pinchback. And while that was happening in New Orleans, they had a black mayor. We had the Negro League that was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. They had black team owners. They had black-owned stadiums. They were going to black hotels and black restaurants. Our dollar would circulate 36 times before it even left our community. During the Great Depression, Cadillac started preying on black people because white people couldn't afford the cars. During the Great Depression, black people were still thriving because our economy wasn't reliant on theirs. So Cadillac switched over and said, hey, let's start selling to black people because we were the only ones who had money for the cars.
Cadillac wouldn't even exist today had it not been for black America in 1934. But when the Great Depression hit in 1928, nobody had money, right? So you don't have auto loans. They did not exist back then. So if you couldn't pay cash for a car, you weren't getting it, and banks failed, nobody had money. So Cadillac lost 85% of their sales in 5 years. They were literally in the board meeting to shut Cadillac down with their service manager nationwide come in and goes, I think I can save the company. We don't sell to anybody but white people. And black Americans in the South are paying white guys $300 cash over and above the price of the car so they can drive. The elite, the judges, the attorneys, the entertainers, the Florida. So in 1934, they opened it up, the first car company ever to have integrated sales. And black Americans bought so many Cadillacs in 1934, sales went up 70%. Now I want you to ask yourself, this is the Great Depression. Nobody has money. There's bread lines. How can black Americans afford to save a luxury brand? They couldn't put their money in banks. And all the banks failed. All the white people lost their money. The law of unintended consequences kept black America from being harmed by the Great Depression like everybody else, believe it or not. And I talked to a gentleman who said the only reason my granddad said he knew it was a Great Depression because he saw a white man picking out of his trash.
That's why Cadillac has such a stronghold on black people to this day. Other companies started taking heed and seeing how much our dollars circulated in our community that they wanted in on it too. They even had instructional videos and books on how to sell to the Negro.
Here is what sales psychologists have to say about selling to the Negro.
The secret of selling to the Negro is expressed in one word. That word is recognition. He needs to feel important and appreciated. It shows up even in many of the Negro's shopping habits. Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits. Most Negroes buy by brand. They ask for products by name. They're quick to turn down off brands. You see, for a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands. The Negro buys good quality merchandise. Symbols of quality and prestige are very important to the Negro customer. When he specifically asks for one thing, don't try to sell him something else. Don't try to switch him at the point of sale. If you do, he'll probably react something like this.
Doesn't he think I've got the money to pay for it?
The Negro resents being offered a substitute. He wants to be sold on quality, not price.
They wanted to integrate with us. We were people of abundance. We had communities, we had pools, we had schools, we had banks, kids playing outside, just life and culture. We traveled and vacation. Things that you see them doing now, they got that from us. We were traveling and vacationing. We traveled and vacation so much, we had a green book of what hotels to go to and what restaurants to go to and what gas stations to go to that were black owned just to keep our dollars circulating. We wouldn't want to go to their gas stations or their hotels because when we paid for our gas and gave them 20s, they were so broke they would keep our change, like they would keep our liquid.
That publication soon became known as the Negro Motorist Green Book.
The Bible of black travel. You know, in essence, it was like the Yellow Book. Hair salons and barbershops, motels, restaurants.
We've always been people of liquid. We've always had mattress money. We've always been cash. We've always been, even still to this day, you see the guys, big knots of money. We never had to use fake systems of money like loans and credit and all that stuff that they use. We were people of money. We were people of liquid. They wanted to get it from us. They seen how our communities thrive. They seen how innovative we were. They seen that no matter what laws and stuff they came up with to hold us back, we were resilient and we kept creating. By the time you get to the 1960s, we had over 100,000 patents and inventions, and we had so many communities that they started to do anything to integrate with us. They wanted our dollar so bad, they would destroy every community we came up with or try to burn it down or strip it from its resources because they wanted us to shop with them. They wanted our innovation. They wanted us. They started coming up with fake scenarios like Rosa Parks to say that we wanted to ride their buses when she had a car. She had money. She was almost rich. We had our own buses. We didn't want to ride on their buses.
They come up with this whole concept called social integration. Social integration is a divisive issue. It divides you. It doesn't pull you together. It's a weakening process. You understand what I'm saying, bro? Mm-hmm. It weakens you. If I put a cup of coffee right now in front of you and pour cream in it, do I make it stronger?
Hell no, you make it weaker.
That's right. Black folk had up 100 times more before social integration hit. See, I'm old enough to tell you all that. You all not old enough to know that yet. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, see, we had something. We had communities. We had communities all over America. In every city had a major community. Here, Harlem, places like that. I grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We weren't looking for this social integration. You know why? Because we had our own businesses there. We had our own businesses. And I say we had a bus line. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 buses. We had over 500 buses.
Wow.
In Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We had that from 1927 up to about 1967. In Winston-Salem, we also had our own cab companies. We had our own restaurants. We had our own hotels. We had our own school systems. And the bus lines, an example, we know what killed our buses?
What?
Social integration. When all of a sudden, you all start talking about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King going down to Alabama, want to integrate the bus lines. Integrate whose bus lines? White bus lines. What they want? They didn't want to own and control and get the resource. They just want to sit on the front of it. Now, if you want to get on the bus, what you want to do is just want to sit on the front of it. Now, if the bus is moving, then the back of the bus will be where the front of the bus will move in a fraction of a second. And everybody gets off at the same time. And so in Winston-Salem, we had our own buses. And so when that movement was successful in Alabama, it came up to Winston-Salem, and blacks in Winston-Salem says, we want to ride on front of some white buses. So we said, we don't have any white buses. They said, well, we'll get some so we can ride on in front of them.
We weren't trying to fight to be with them. They tried to make it like we wanted to be with them. When they put guys in our face like Martin Luther King and sold us the dream that we wanted to be with them, sold us the dream that we wanted to eat at their restaurants when we didn't trust them. They were spitting in our food, and our food tastes way better in the first place. We didn't want to go to their restaurants. We had our own restaurants, and we had our own food. And even through all that, we still kept rebuilding, kept coming up. We started Motown in Detroit. We innovated the music game, and we just kept innovating. To this day, black people are one of the richest diasporas in the world. If black people were their own country, if it was nothing but just black people in one country, we would be the 8th largest economy in the world. That would make us richer than Russia and Canadians. That means right now, black people are richer than the whole country of Canada, and we're richer than the entire country of Russia. Black people are America's biggest, greatest asset. That's why everybody wants to come over here. That's why everybody wants to come mooch off our dollars and sell us stuff. Don't ever make them feel like we're classless ghetto people. We're people of opulence. We're people of abundance. We're people of resilience. We're people of innovation. We aren't stupid. We aren't poor. We aren't dumb. So happy Black History Month. And to everyone who says we don't have a culture, show them this video. Show them that everything they come to America for, we've been done. We've built. They're always going to love us. They're always going to try to extract from us. America would be a third world country without our inventions. Even though black capitalism will never save us in their system, I do like to highlight this video to show how resilient we are as a people and try to remind us who we are. A lot of times we forget and we allow them to dictate and shape us and tell us who we are. They're trying to erase black history, so it's important that we highlight these things and remind people this is our country. We built this. Everything that y'all doing, we've done it. Not only have we done it times 10. We've done it beautifully. Hopefully one day the world appreciates what we offer to this world. And even if they don't, it doesn't matter because we're going to keep doing our own thing. We're going to keep building. They can sit here and make all these laws and tell us this and tell them that. We're just going to sit there and take it because whatever roadblocks they put up, we just go around it and do our own thing. So at this point, it doesn't matter what they try to do to us. They need to just look at history and see what they've done to us and how we always overcome it and always grow. If anything, they were smart. They would start using America's greatest asset, which is black people, to our advantage so we can obtain world superpower status again. And if not, it doesn't matter because, like I said, black people are going to keep building and being resilient regardless of what poison they throw at us.